Greetings, comrades! We have shiny new tank ready to go to front. It's so awesome. It got red star and everything else not so great. Not so great. Okay, Yuri, get us out of here. We don't need to be here. We're up against the Germans this time. Tank Rider is bringing the pain with Conf Group Bake with Dr. Panther, 3 Panther Ds, 2 Tiger 1Es, some anti-air and Recce, and on the Russian side we have got a gaggle of tanks. Look at all of them. It's a bunch of T-3485s. I figured the best spam is the one that I can spam the most of. So this is a classic matchup. It is a matchup of Soviet steel where you get a whole herd of tanks, in this case the venerable T-34, and on the German side we have a smaller selection of elite tanks, Panthers and Tigers. I end up playing my hand just a little bit early, and I put a small section of 5 T-3485s on the hill on the north end. I'm hoping that he's going to respond with putting a couple extra units up there to defend as well. He doesn't quite respond completely, and since this is free-for-all, he goes ahead and throws his AA unit on the opposite end, buying him a little bit of time, and I go ahead and throw the Su-122s, again, not a very effective unit in a tank-and-tank engagement, on the southern end. We're trying to push the initiative, trying to force him to push his units in such a way that I can buy myself a little bit of maneuvering room. He puts his Nebelwerfers at the top left of the map. I go ahead and throw the Su-100s in the center, hoping to be able to swing one side or the other. He responds with the Tiger on the southern end and the Panthers on the south end, and as well as I put my Recce units, the Spetsnaz on the southern end, and just as soon as he does, I throw the 10-unit strong unit of T-3485s on the northern end. We have played our hands. I am going with a denied flank on the north, and he has gone for a denied flank on the south. With the Gambit in play, I move the Su-100s forward. I want to get as many shots downrange as possible, hoping to slow down that heavy German armor, or at least give them something to think about. I move my Recce unit forward because I forgot to do it. They try to get into the building and they fail. It's been a disaster for the beginning. As a matter of fact, I kind of maneuvered them south during deployment, hoping to bait them to do something, but in retrospect, I don't know what I was thinking. The 10-strong T-3485 unit lunges forward with its CIC. We're going to keep that Gambit in check because all he has on the northern end is the Nebelwerfers and Baka himself. We go ahead and throw the 5-unit stand near the objective. We leave them there and let them act as a response force just in case things go south somewhere else. But Baka is unfazed. He actually manages to sit up there just north of the woods up there as I'm trying to wiggle my way around the northern end of the board. Lights up one T-34. He gets air support, lights up another. Nebelwerfers kill another. Panthers move forward, take shots way downtown, lights up 2 Su-122s. Platoon morale check rolls around, and the best AT asset I have on the board decides it's better to drink the vodka back home, and leaving me almost defenseless on the southern end of the board. But the clock's running, so we send the T-3485s on the northern end towards their objective. They only have one Panther to deal with. It shouldn't be a problem. Just get close, surround it, and just overrun the position. And they still have 8 tanks there, counting the CIC, so it shouldn't be a problem. I divert the T-3485s that were holding the northern objective on my side towards the southern objective to give the Tigers something to think about if they decide to open up against the Su-122s, or at least close the distance. Now, since this is a play for time, the Spetsnaz back off the objective. They get back in the half tracks and run back behind the hill. The idea is that if he sends his tanks forward and contests the objective, I can send out the transport teams piecemeal to die one at a time if I really need to. But my buddy here keeps pushing his tanks forward. The Panthers start making their way forward cautiously. They can take on the Su-122s, and the Su-122s can light him up if he's not careful and gives them a side shot. So he's going to engage them at range with discretion. Tigers, on the other hand, are slowing it up, trading their shots between the Su-122s that are taking the brunt of it and the T-3485s at distance that are threatening their flank and at least buying the Su-122s just a little bit of time. And meanwhile, on the northern end, Hin and Chicks is making a mess of things. The T-34-85s are just pummeling round after round after round at Baka, and the Spetsnaz are just having to belay their orders because they're just terrified of the plan that I'm about to issue to them, and with the gusto that can only be reserved for Zapranigan. It's really hurting me on the northern end of the board is that it is a narrow defile between the edge of the board and the forest, forcing only a couple tanks through at a time. So as I filter through, Baka is just lighting them up. They have a Pack 40 up there guarding the Nebelwerfers, and it's not making my life any easier as well. The response element that has been sent south to deal with the disaster that is the Su-100s fleeing the field is now engaging the Tigers, and they're trying to close their distance below 16 inches, and so far they haven't been able to make their threat felt. Meanwhile, on the northern end of the board, Baka is feeling the heat as the T-34s manage to not only surround him, but get a flank shot on him. The shot connects, and he manages to bounce it. He saves every shot against him. Baka realizes his mistake, and my buddy just pulls him back so that he can keep plucking away at those Russians as they start charging the Nebelwerfer battery. And in an action that will become quickly apparent in this practice game and in future reps, the T-34-85 has a troubling problem dealing with elite German units as round after round hits the confident trained tanks and goes straight to firepower, bailing and destroying nearly everyone in that response element, with nary a pause for concern on the part of the Germans. As a relief element, they managed to do their job and acted as no more than a speed bump for the Tigers and giving the Panthers an impetus to shoot at something else for a turn, while the Su-122s re-established their situation. On the northern end, the objective is under contention as the tanks move forward, and on the southern end, the Su-122 is hiding for its life, but keeping the game just barely in check. Again, this is a race at this point. Both objectives are in contention. We just have to kick each other off the objective for one turn. Neither of us has enough units to be able to double up any effort that we might be able to throw out there. With the T-34 relief element having regained its gusto, remounted, and started moving, we send them back behind the church. At least they can avoid shots from the Tiger. We're going to help them take on the Panthers and hopefully give them something to think about shooting one way or the other, and just buy the Su-122s just that much more time. And on the northern end, we have the T-34s trying to go for the objective. We angle them in such a way that all the AT guns, especially Baka, can't fire in defensive fire if we wanted to. We managed to hose them down with machine gun fire, kill the Pack 40, and what is absolutely glorious, rout the Nebelwerfers and take the objective. Now Baka is way too far out of position to contest it, as the southern end is getting reinforced for the glorious, glorious Soviets. And even the Su-122 managed to get in it. The commander swung out there, bloodlust in his eyes, got a side shot on one of the Panthers, and he whiffed it. He managed to fail the firepower roll. Can you imagine that? Baka repositions himself so that he can stormtrooper back in if absolutely necessary, and he opens up with his guns, managing to light up two T-34s, making it another platoon morale check that the CIC gets involved in, and they rout. The tanks rout off the table, leaving the Russians without their CIC and the entire platoon in the north that was holding the game in contention. It is now a game for the Germans, and a matter of whether or not the Russians can bloody the German nose just a little bit so that in the tourney standing the scores won't be so lopsided. The Panthers turn around, start firing on the T-34 relief element, manages to kill one but not the other. It doesn't particularly slow them down though, as they begin to plop a few more shells downrange. Tiger takes care of the other. Panther pans its turret, takes care of the glorious Su-122 commander, and the game is called. It's a company morale check at that point, and without a CIC, the game is lost. Principally to Baka, who managed to carry the entire field, destroying no less than 7 tanks on his own. It was a good game, and that's been an Ouchies Batrep, and thanks for watching. Ending Chicks is a lot to try to swallow at once, but it's not so bad. I think I could have won the game, and this was my first outing as a Soviet player, if I sent both the T-34 units at the northern objective. If Baca had 2 platoons to deal with, instead of just 1, he would have 2 platoon morale checks to deal with, and I would have a whole nother unit to flank him on the other side instead of funneling them all through the woods in a death file, which just kind of funneled him to Baca in the easiest way possible. I'll get him next time.